How's it going, folks? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming, and today we're talking about a Secretlab footrest. We're not going to do one of our more conventional long form reviews where I give you like a final score and all that kind of stuff because it's kind of a unique product. So instead, I'm just going to kind of walk you through what kind of specs and features this comes with, and then I'll just talk about my experience with it. Stick around. So this footrest comes in at a whopping $200. And if you haven't looked at footrests on Amazon or anywhere really, that is very expensive. Most of them are about a quarter that price, coming in at around $50. Some of the more expensive ones are around $100, but the only one that I could find that was over $200 was a Herman Miller one that was basically just a leather footrest that was $250 because it was Herman Miller. The dimensions on this thing are 21.8 inches in length, 13.5 inches in width, and 4.3 inches in height. And you can also make it about an inch taller by adding some extra foot attachments that they send with it. But that isn't something that's super easy to switch back and forth. You do have to manually get down underneath of it, add the footrests, or take them off if you want to change it. So that's kind of a one and done thing for whichever height is more preferable for you, not an easy thing to switch around on the fly. One of the cooler features is that this actually has some adjustability to it. It can tilt up to 15 degrees forward or 15 degrees flat and anything in between. And there's two ways that it does this. There's a switch on the back. One puts it in dynamic mode, which basically is sort of like a free spin where you can just sort of rest your feet and it'll adjust with your feet as you go. The other is a stationary setting, and that allows you to use this foot pedal on the top here to adjust it. So if you push down on the foot pedal, you can adjust it so that it's flat. You can adjust it so that it's further back, or you can adjust it so that it comes towards you again. And when you release the lever, it locks in place. I personally just left it in stationary most of the time because honestly, I didn't really want it to be tilted away from me very often. I pretty much always wanted it to be tilted towards me, and so I just kind of locked it into the position that I found comfortable and left it alone for the most part. I did put it flat a couple times so that I could kind of rest my heels on it instead of putting the whole foot. But it is pretty nice that that lever allows you to adjust it from a sitting position and you don't have to like crawl down on all fours underneath your desk and adjust it by hand. One of the other neat things about this footrest is that the padding is actually hot swappable. So you know how on the Secretlab chairs you can remove the pads on the arms? This isn't a Secretlab chair, but it works the same way. And replace them with different ones. Well, it works the same with this. The PU coated padding that it comes with is magneted onto the footrest, and Secretlab actually sells two other footrests. There is a heated one that kind of comes with these little pockets you tuck your feet into, and they're electrically heated, and that's really nice. And it also comes with one that is a more memory foam, so it's softer, more cushiony. The memory foam one is an additional $70, and the heated one is an additional $100 on top of the $200 that you're already paying for the footrest. So that's pretty pricey. I will say that the PU coated pad that it comes with is really nice though. I actually can't think of a reason why I would want to replace this. I mean, the heated one does sound pretty cool, but it's the perfect balance between firmness and plush, if that makes sense. Like, if you put your feet on this, it feels like you're putting your feet on a solid thing, but there's just enough give to it that is very cushiony, and it relieves a lot of tension in the feet. At least it did for me. As I'm putting my feet on this right now, I can just kind of feel the tension from walking around all day just sort of being sapped out of my feet, and that is really, really nice. Another thing that's really good about this footrest is that it has a solid metal chassis. It is not lightweight, it's not plasticky, and what's really cool about that is that it's not going to slide around, right? You're resting your feet on this, you're resting a fair amount of your body weight on this. You don't want it to be sliding around. I have wood floors, not even carpet, and this did not budge an inch in the entire time I was using it. I also didn't really have any issues with it tilting or anything like that. So if I want to put my heel on one part of it and like cross my legs or something like that so that I'm putting more pressure on a specific part, it's not going to tilt or wobble or anything like that. It is very soundly stationary, and it does not move unless you move it. So overall, in terms of design, I think this thing is pretty top tier. I only have two real criticisms with the design of it. The first is that there isn't really any vertical adjustment. I mean, there's the feet that take it from 4.3 inches to 5.3 inches, but that's more for just what basic level is nice for you. And to be fair, most footrests are like this. Most footrests are just a few inches off the ground so that your feet can kind of be just a little bit up off the ground, right? But there are a few footrests out there that can extend upwards, and that's really nice because those serve as sort of an ottoman for when you want to recline, right? If I'm playing video games, which this is a gaming chair company, and I want to recline backwards, look at my monitor, I kind of want my feet to be up, you know what I mean? Like in line with the seat, not just a couple inches off the ground. And I feel like with the price point that this is being sold at, it would be a lot more reasonable if it also had a feature that some of the cheaper ones have. I feel like at $200, you should pretty much have every feature, and that's a major one that I feel like this was kind of lacking. And the only other complaint, and this is a personal preference thing, is that I think it might be just a little too big, to be perfectly honest. This is taking up a lot of real estate under your desks, so if you have a shallow desk, you probably don't have room for this. If you have a heating vent under your desk, then you probably won't be able to find a good spot for it. It takes up a big chunk of space, so really you have to be sure that you have the correct setup to use this with. But those were two very specific and very nitpicky criticisms. Some people are going to like that this takes up more space so that they have more room to move their feet around, or they can adjust at different angles and still have a spot to keep their feet on it. And for those people, that's awesome. It really comes down to whether or not you think this is worth $200, because I think it's kind of indisputably best in class. If you compare it to any other footrest of a similar design, this thing kind of blows it out of the water. It also costs 4 times as much, which is pretty extreme for something that you're just putting your feet on. I think for most of my high school and college career, I put my feet on a box. I didn't even have any sort of footrest at all. If you have $200 to spend on the best footrest you can get, then I think that this might be it. But if you're looking at any sort of dollar per value proposition, I don't know if this has it. So because there isn't anything super comparable on the market, it's hard to say whether or not it's worth it. I think that's going to depend on the person. I don't have that kind of money to spend on a footrest, but I'm not going to judge those who do. That's going to do it for us today, though, folks. Why don't you go ahead and drop down in the comments and let us know what you think of the Secretlab Professional Footrest. While you're at it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We have a lot more videos coming really soon, and we'd hate for you to miss any of them. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.